And we now call up some of the stakeholders. Greg Hurner of KP Public Affairs on behalf of Western States Petroleum Association, John Berg, Vice President, Pacific Merchant Shipping Association, Chris Jones, Maritime Operations Consultant for Environmental Action, Committee of West Marin, and Deb Self, the Executive Director of San Francisco Baykeeper, who I understand has put off her honeymoon to be with us here today, which says something about your priorities. I'm not quite sure what it says, but there you have it. Great, thank you. So, Mr. Hurner.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Mr. Chesbrough and members, appreciate that you having this hearing. My name is Greg Hurner with KP Public Affairs, and I'm here on behalf of the Western States Petroleum Association, a key stakeholder in the effort to ensure a program that is administered and funded appropriately. First, I want to thank Senator Chesbrough for carrying AB 881. This bill picks up on efforts by Senator Evans from last year to ensure that the Oil Wildlife Care Network is fully funded, and previous efforts by then Assemblymember Huffman that increased funding for the OSPR program. AB 881 is necessary because state general fund loans from the trust fund and historic low interest rates have created an immediate need for the Oil Wildlife Care Network. AB 881 also provides additional funding above what is necessary for the OWCN and removes the sunset. This funding is on top of the 30% increase in funding that it took effect on January 1st, 2012 that the industry worked with then Assemblymember Huffman on. A robust and efficient program is in everyone's best interest. WISPA believes that AB 881 as drafted will achieve this goal, especially given the Department of Finance audit released at the end of 2012 that indicated 6.5 cents per barrel was, quote, reasonable and sufficient for carrying out the OSPR and State Lands Commission functions. The 7 cents adds an extra $2.5 million, $2 million of which would go to the Oil Wildlife Care Network. However, we do look forward to continuing to work with the Administrator Cullen and the State Lands Commission to explore their additional concerns over potential long-term funding or shifts in how product is delivered. In regards to readiness, I think it's important to point out the difference between OSPR and the oil spill response organizations, which are not represented here today. Each of our members contract with oil spill response organizations to actually provide the response capability to an incident. OSPR's function is the oversight and administration and ensuring the readiness of those companies and our members' ability to respond to an incident. As Administrator Cullen stated, our industry helps to sponsor the biannual technology conference. This conference helps to bring forth the newest information in oil spill response technology and attracts participants from around the country and often around the world. This partnership helps to ensure OSPR's ability to assess best available technology. It's also a WISPR member that volunteered to be the first to be subject to the unannounced drill program. Our members strongly support the Drills and Exercises program. We believe the extent of that program has had a demonstrated success in meeting the requirements of law and reducing incidents. We also believe that State Lands Commission efforts have met that test as well. This success is a combination of looking at potential scenarios on a holistic basis and engaging a broad base of stakeholders where appropriate. This includes studies such as that used to modify ship transit patterns, drills and exercises, best available technology, and coordination through the Technical Advisory Committee, Harbor Safety Committees, and local governments. The statistics presented today by OSPR and State Lands Commission show the programs are successful. Regarding the inland program, it's at the Department of Fish and Wildlife. It's important to note that the inland program is not an oil program. It is the inland pollution program. It is not an oil spill program. The program is designed to address all threats to our natural resources, whether from auto accidents or municipal waste treatment facilities. WISPA is aware of the concerns about funding for this program and started meeting with OSPR last year over them, including current program or current changes that have led to the diversion of fines and penalties away from California Fish and Wildlife for this program and to local agencies. OSPR has been entrusted with California Fish and Wildlife with identifying potential solutions to this problem of inland pollution. Importantly, the OSPR program is a marine program and cannot be utilized for inland pollution. In addition, the broad spectrum of potential responsible parties in inland pollution creates obligations under Prop 26 to ensure any program that is not funded by the general fund is charged the appropriate fee and includes the potential responsible parties. We look forward to continuing to work with OSPR and the department to be a constructive participant in finding a solution to this program. Just to conclude, as noted in the recent reports on the past audits, both at OSPR and State Lands Commission have struggled on occasion to be accountable and transparent. The 4-year cycle of audits that Assemblymember Atkins raised was because of ongoing problems in the program, including diversion of resources. In our meetings with Administrator Cullen, we believe he is very sincere in addressing this, and we've had numerous productive meetings since his appointment. We're also hoping to develop that same level of dialogue with State Lands Commission's new executive officer, Jennifer Lucchese. As I mentioned at the beginning of my testimony, we're all well served by a program that is funded appropriately. WISPA members remain committed to participating constructively to improving program administration and evaluating what funding levels are necessary for those activities. Thank you for holding this hearing, and we look forward to working with the administration and the legislature on this challenge.
Thank you. I'm certainly glad to hear that industry supports the OWCN, and I think that that's appropriate as well, given the mechanisms that they provide for the benefit. There has been some talk about the per barrel charge, though, and I think the legislation had it at 7 cents, and what's been proposed, though, 7.5 and even potentially 8 by the state lands. What's your thought on that level of funding, given the information that's been put out in the hearing today with respect to deficits and being able to actually fund these programs?
Well, we've supported the 7 cents that's included in Assemblymember Chesborough's bill. We believe that's adequate for the program. We're relying on the Department of Finance audit that was released that said 6.5 cents per barrel was adequate for the program. The 7 cents provides $2.5 million additional dollars, $2 million of which would go to the Oil Wildlife Care Network to make sure that that doesn't increase any potential hit to the existing OSPR State Lands Commission programs, and provides an additional $500,000 to deal with any other potential revenues, such as employees coming off of the furlough program and other things that we had talked to OSPR about. We're more than willing to continue that dialogue, but we strongly support moving AB 881 in its current form because we have the immediate need of making sure that the Oil Wildlife Care Network is funded this coming year at the full $2 million level. This bill provides that ability, and so we strongly encourage that bill to move forward, and then we'll continue our dialogue with both OSPR and State Lands Commission.
Great, thank you. Chair Chesbrough.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it should be clear that the part of the agreement to get the bill off the Assembly floor was that this was considered the immediate solution and that there would be ongoing dialogue. I'm not saying that industry committed to anything else besides that, but there was understanding that there would be a continued discussion about trying to sort this out. And I appreciate the industry engaging in those conversations. So I did have a question, and I earlier brought it up, and I don't know if you were here, but changes in the any perspective on changes in the methods of transport over time, whether the industry sees a significant shift towards more land transportation and less ocean transportation relative to where we might foresee that future problems would exist. I'm setting aside the complicated issue of whether or not the oil industry should pay for everybody else's inland. I'm not getting at that. I'm just trying to understand what I can about where things might be going for oil in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, clearly there's antitrust issues in respect to talking about how oil is purchased, marketed, and I can't go down that road.
Broad trend.
But we have, but that's an issue that Administrator Cullen raised to me this week. We're more than happy to try and, as WISPA, which allows us to explore some of those issues, to try and help generate some data so we can get a handle on that going forward.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.